And we are live in beautiful downtown Crestline in the San Bernardino Mountains of Southern California's Inland Empire. A small arm of the Sierra Nevada Mountains. I have a sore throat and runny nose. It is not COVID, might be strep throat. Oh well, good morning. Let's hope my internet behaves. It's been wonky this morning. The cats are even worse. Oh, they drive me crazy. Oh, cats. Sweetie, who wants to come in and eat but cannot abide having the door shut behind her. Tora, who would rather go out and play than eat breakfast. And 3 semi-feral kittens. I'm trying to tame them. Hi, Don Burnham in the chat. Oh boy, what a day. Well, I've been watching and re-watching a video of John Lennox. He's a Catholic, but that's okay. An Irish transplanted to England professor. He's taught at Oxford and I think at Cambridge as well. Not positive about Cambridge. During COVID, he was interviewed by a startup church. Oh, Dawn, you need to settle down. You won't find another woman if you're always drunk. I mean, you might find a woman who wants to get drunk with you, but that isn't the way to lead your life. The problem with drugs and alcohol is you can't really escape. All right, what have I done? Wrong pocket. That's what I've done. Okay. Why not escape with a good book or a bunch of movies that you enjoy? They don't have to be highbrow or even good movies as long as you like them. Hi, L. Freeman. Or random videos on YouTube. No, L. Freeman is an author, and I'm trying to encourage him to publish. Yeah, I started about 5 minutes early. I did post on Facebook and Twitter. I don't do much on other social media. Which country will you leave, Don? Oh, I forgot to tell my phone to shut up. Come on. Do not disturb. I guess I have to tell the tablet also. Come on. Hi, it's Sequentia. Yeah, I kind of started early, but I haven't done much yet. Yeah, it seems like Bulgaria is the place to live the American dream. Okay, I'm waiting for a page to load, and I forgot to grab my little Greek Bible, Greek and English interlinear. Where the heck is it? Oh no. Oh no, did I put it in the closet? Um, it should be here, but no. What have I done? Oh, I put it in a box somewhere. Well, heck with that. Google is my friend, right? Ah, okay. This is after the resurrection, John 21. I'll put a link to the website I'm reading from. Was it Bulgaria or Hungary where they told the EU and the UN and NATO to pound sand? Well, anyway, in John 21, it's after the resurrection, after Jesus appeared in the upper room with the disciples. um, he told the disciples, who are now apostles, sent ones, to go to Galilee. So they're by the Sea of Tiberias, and Simon Peter, who ends up being called just Peter, decides to go fishing. That's what he does for a living. And Jesus isn't there yet. And so they all go fishing. But they didn't catch any fish all night long, and that's when you catch fish there at night. Sorry about the coughing. I got a sore throat and a runny nose, and I'm here anyway. Verse 4, just as day was breaking, Jesus stood on the chair. Yet the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. And he asked them, did you catch any fish? And they said no. Sorry. Oh, Don says, do not assume that one of the thieves was damned. Yeah. Jesus spoke to the two thieves while they were all on the cross, and one of them believed. Okay, so did you catch any fish? No. And Jesus said, well, cast the net on the right side of the boat and you will find some. And they did. Why? Some stranger on the shore tells them to do that? Oh, gee. I'm sorry, I wasn't coughing like this before I got on YouTube. mm. Ah, jeez. Louise, I'm all right. Maybe I should get drunk, then I'd quit coughing. Although I don't really drink much. I think maybe a 7-7, 7-Up and Seagram 7. Nah. All right, so anyway, some stranger says cast your boat on the other side, cast your net on the other side of the boat, and they do. Well, earlier when Jesus was like before the cross, you know, he was still alive and with them. He had been in the boat and told them the same thing. And at that time, Peter said, well, I don't think we're going to catch any fish, but I'll do it because you said to. And they cast their net and caught a bunch of fish. So they just did it and they caught lots of fish. And they came in, let's see, oh, and John, who wrote this book, verse 7, that disciple whom Jesus loved, therefore said to Peter, it is the Lord. So that's John, the beloved disciple. Make what you want of that. He remembered the previous incident and said, oh, it's the Lord. We caught all these fish. When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he was stripped for work, and threw himself into the sea. Is this a reference to when Peter walked on water, lost faith, and fell in? Could be. That was an earlier incident. Well, anyway, the other disciples dragged in the net with all those fish. And when they got on land, Jesus was already there with charcoal burning and fish on the grill and bread. And he tells them, bring some of your fish and we'll all have breakfast. So they do, and he gives them bread and fish. Now, the way Dr. Lennox, John Lennox, the Irish Catholic professor in England at Oxford, the way he interprets this is that, sorry, they should not depend solely on their own work, but also trust in the Lord. The Lord will provide. The lilies of the field are clothed in fine raiment. Well, anyway, Jesus is always providing fish and bread for people. Oh, Oh, Freeman doesn't want me to drink because I already have enough bad habits. But what really got to me was a little later in the same chapter. Sorry about the coughing. When they had finished breakfast, verse 15, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John. Remember, later we know him as Peter. Do you love me more than these? And Peter says, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And Jesus says, Feed my lambs. And then Jesus asked again, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And he said, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And he said to him, Tend my sheep. He said to him the third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, Do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. And Jesus said to him, Feed my sheep. Okay, I'm going to stop there, even though there is more. Well, let's see if they got footnotes here. Because every time they say love, it's a different Greek word. Okay, two different words. Agape. Jesus used the word agape, which is also the communion is really called. The early Christians didn't have a cracker and a thimble of wine. They had a love feast, an agape feast. They ate all kinds of food together. It's a non-sexual love of everyone. But Peter's using the word phileo. And if you know about Philadelphia, the city of brother love, you will recognize phileo as brotherly love. Hang on. I have a tickle in my throat. A kind of scratch or itch. Well, there are other Greek words for love. Don Burnham's right by Philly. Well, now the Roman Catholic Church considers Peter the founder of Christianity, but there's good evidence. Peter was in Rome, but there's good evidence and argument that the real founder was James, the brother of Jesus, in Jerusalem. And no eros, no sexual love in John 21. And people like to make a big deal about the difference between agape and phileo. But there's something about the number 3, doing something 3 times. And Jesus asks 3 times, "Do you love me?" And first he says, "Feed my lambs." And then twice he says, "Feed my sheep." And John Lennox says there's a big difference between feeding lambs and feeding sheep. All lambs need is their mother's milk. But and you see new believers are like lambs. You teach them the basics, but as they grow in the faith, they need more teaching, not just John 3:16, although that's a good one. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, so that we might have everlasting life. Freeman, yeah, The Best of Philip K. Dick, a short story collection. Of course they are not his best works. That's just a title for the book. And even as a small child, I memorized John 3:16. In other words, we will not perish. We will not die the second death. Our bodies will die, but our souls are eternal. But grown-up Christians need more. And I tend to focus on the Old Testament to reinforce that that's where Christianity came from. It was a Jewish sect, a cult. And in the early days of Christianity, it was not Rome that persecuted them, it was the Jews, mostly the Pharisees. And this Pharisee named Paul got converted to Christianity. He had a vision of the Lord himself, Jesus, saying, "Why do you persecute me?" And Paul had been struck blind while on the road to Damascus. Damascus being a city in Syria, which happens to be the farthest northern point where Abraham went to rescue his nephew Lot from the, I guess, the Syrians. I forget who conquered Sodom and took Lot and all the other people. God, I am so sorry about the coughing. Yeah, as Faust said right before he conjured up Mephistopheles, "Weg ich in dem Kerker noch?" Whoa, am I still stuck in this prison? Well, I remember being persuaded to come here. And when I was very young and was close to death from probably norovirus, but maybe a nasty flu, I remember being told, you still have work to do. You can't come to the afterlife just yet. But they didn't tell me what that work was. Don, if the woman is not available, you need to find a woman who is available. What was that rock and roll song? If you can't be the one you with the one you love, love the one you're with. Yeah, well, love is not just what you feel. It's what you do, and she isn't doing it. Love goes two ways. I have to be careful if you do this. It's apparently the F word in Europe, and that's victory. But I mean the number two. Even when I was super angry at Phil, I mean, I just didn't want to be in the same house with him. I was so angry. I still did the things that a loving wife does. Washed his laundry, cooked his meals, um, helped him when he needed help. Oh well, that was a long time ago. But you see, yeah, it's this one, the tea. Tea is good for the throat. Love is involves two people and they both have to do the things that show love. I don't know. But I'm really tired of the way this world is going. And certain people want to argue with me about Armageddon and whether we go to heaven and whether being thrown into the lake of fire means you burn forever. Well, the devil, not the devil, oh, criminy. The false prophet and, okay, false prophet and the Antichrist. Where is that? Oh, it's in Acts, not in Revelation. Okay. Um, well, let's see. Acts 2 ESV, chapter 2 of the book of Acts. I think I want, oh yeah. But Peter standing with the 11, this is at Pentecost. So all 12 of them are there. Peter plus 11. He's telling the crowd that the disciples are not drunk, they're filled with the Spirit. And he says, and in the last days it shall be, God declares, that I will pour out my Spirit on all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. Even on my male servants and female servants, in those days I will pour out my Spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show wonders in the heavens above, and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the day of the Lord comes. The great and magnificent day, and it shall come to pass that everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. And there's more. Lots more in chapter 2 of Acts. But I want Revelation, Lake of Fire. Come on. Revelation chapter 20, verses 14 and 15. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. And some people think that means that you'll be burning. I'm not so sure, because backing up, verse 7 of Revelation chapter 20, and when the 1,000 years are ended, Satan will be released from his prison and will come out to deceive the nations that are at the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them for battle. Their number is like the sand of the sea. And they marched up over the broad plain of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city. But fire came down from heaven and consumed them. And the devil who had deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet were, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Well, okay, so the devil and the beast and the false prophet, in other words, the three bad guys, will be tormented forever. But I'm having trouble finding it. There we go. In 9, the fire came down from heaven and consumed them. In other words, they were gone forever. So the way I interpret it is that the devil, the false prophet, and the beast are tormented forever, but the unbelievers, you might say, are just gone. Here down in verse 13, and the sea gave up the dead who were in it. Death and Hades gave up the dead who were in them. Now that's an old understanding of the ancient people, that if you drowned in the sea, you didn't get to go to Hades, which was not necessarily a place of punishment. And so it was really awful to be drowned at sea and your body not returned to the land to be buried. You weren't even in Hades, you were just in the ocean, in the water. Okay, and the sea gave up the dead who were in it. Death and Hades gave up the dead who were in them, and they were judged, each one of them, according to what they had done. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. Doesn't say they were tortured forever, but they're gone forever. And I think the real torture for them is that they're separated from God. God doesn't send you to hell. We walk in with our eyes open when we reject God, when we reject the Lord. It's like, hey, if you don't want to be with me, I'll send you to a place where I am not. Oh, Dawn. I'm not sure you want to hear the voice of God. It can scare the daylights out of you. In my experience, not all, but most atheists I've met are actually angry at God and withholding faith and belief because they're mad at him. So they really do believe in God, they just don't like him. All right, let's see. Damascene conversion happened to Paul. Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know about when the last days. No one knows when the end will come. Not even the Son, but only the Father. But things are pretty dire right now. Oh, Freeman says God should send them to Camden, New Jersey, because God isn't there. Yeah. Well, I don't know. God let me get raised by the devil's sister, but he gave me the strength to overcome. I'm beginning to feel better. Hope the coughing stops. Oh, or maybe it was Trenton. I don't know. I've never been anywhere really. I've been to Denver twice now to visit Phil's grave at Fort Morgan and meet up with the people at the Philip K. Dick Festival in Fort Morgan. That's the farthest I've ever been from home. I was in Seattle once, but all I saw was the airport and the hotel and a 7-Eleven, a mini mart. When I was 14, I went with another family on a day trip to Mexicali. It's a border town. I mean, you cross the border at Calexico, California, Mexico, Calexico. And once you cross the border, you're in Mexicali, Mexico, California. Had the best burrito I ever had from a street vendor who was Chinese. Oh, man. No, Phil was not buried in California. Way back when his twin sister died at about 6 weeks old, their father, Edgar, bought a plot in the family section of the graveyard in Fort Morgan, Colorado, where many of the Dick family lived. Phil's sister Jane was buried there, but the grave was big enough for both of them. He made a point of that so the twins could be buried together. And so when Phil died, Edgar had him placed in the same grave with his sister. And when I was there the first time, I met Phil's cousin. He was very old then, and I did not see him on the second visit, so he probably passed away. Yeah, well, I'm never going to China at Sequentia, so I definitely won't buy from street vendors in China. I don't like to travel, I really don't. But if I could just go poof and be somewhere exotic, that'd be great. I'd like to see the Ashmolean, that museum at Oxford, I think. I think it's at Oxford in England. Or is it a library? I'm getting confused. I'll look it up. Yeah, it's a museum. And it is. Yeah, it's in Oxford. There's a library there too that I'd like to see, but I forgot what it's called. Yes, Edgar was still alive when Phil passed away. He was in his 80s. I met him a couple times. I take that back. I met him once, and I met his wife Gertrude 2 or 3 times. I forget exactly. After he passed, I went and visited her so my son would know his family. It was eerie. Although Edgar did not grow a beard, other than that, it was like being with Phil. He was so much like his son. "1972, Hal Freeman? Huh, that's a long time ago. You want to go back there?" Well, that was before Watergate destroyed the Nixon administration, before Gerald Ford's disastrous pullout from Vietnam. Pulled out the military and left civilians behind. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's the year we met. I was just 18. But when I saw him, I just knew he was the one. I don't know how I knew, I just did. Oh, A Little Something for Us Temponauts was a great story that Phil wrote. Well, he wasn't trying to be funny. It was supposed to be pathos, sharing their pain, their feelings as they're stuck. Phil himself admitted he really didn't know how to end a story. But I think he did a pretty good job, especially with the three stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, which apparently has been optioned by Netflix to make some kind of media, maybe a series, maybe a movie, maybe both. And there is a stage play of Minority Report. It's supposed to start next February. Oh, that would be funny, Freeman. Freeman proposed an ending for Temponauts. Oh, so Freeman's a very young man. He was 2 years old. I was 18. Man, that was a long time ago. But sometimes it seems like yesterday. And Don Burnham is even younger. Born in 86? Jeez. You aren't super young, but you're a lot younger than I am. I'm just a few months short of 70. I always think I'm 26 until I get up out of my chair. And my hair is not as gray as it could be because I was a redhead. When I met Phil, my hair had gone mostly brown, but I still had a lot of red mixed with the brown. Yeah, I have freckles. The ones on my face have pretty much faded, but you should be, well, the lighting just isn't any good. You should be able to see the freckles on my arms. They kind of look, well, between the camera and the lighting, you can't really see them, but I do still have freckles. on my face and arms, mostly my arms. Well, I'm not Irish, Don. Well, I am about 1/4 Scottish, but I also have Welsh and English and a little of the Norman French, who are not, like William the Conqueror. They were not really French, they were Norsemen from Scandinavia. And possibly Cherokee. We have some questions about that. The Mormons say that ancestor was a white woman, but I suspect she was Cherokee because lots of Cherokee look just like white people. And we were always told she was Cherokee, but her husband was most definitely black. Ancestry couldn't find any African DNA in me, but it was a few generations back. It's Sequentia. Oh dear. Don is quoting that movie with Steve Martin. I was born a poor black child. Forgot the title, but he invents this eyeglasses thing and then goes broke because it's making people cross-eyed. The Jerk. Thank you, Don. Yeah. Well, anyway. Yeah, look at the book of Job back in the Old Testament. He was wealthy. He had lots of sons and daughters and lots of sheep and servants, and he lost them all. Well, if you pay attention, Job was praying to God, and his sons and daughters were uh, eating, drinking, and having parties. And maybe that's why they were struck dead. They were not worshiping God. And Job lost all his riches. He was made sick, covered in sores. And he never denied God. So he got back, I think it was tenfold, 10 times what he had before, because he was faithful. He complained a lot. God, why are you doing this to me? But he didn't deny God. Well, yeah, it was Satan, but in the Old Testament, Satan is not the devil. It's a different entity. It's the accuser, like a prosecuting attorney. And he bets God that Job wouldn't be so faithful to God if he hadn't been blessed with all these riches and so forth. And God says, well, do what you will, take it all away, but don't kill him. You're not allowed to kill Job. So Satan does all these things, and Job still believes in God. Now, of Job is not the oldest in the Bible, but you could make an argument that the story is older than the other books of the Bible. And after all he went through, Job was given back his health, his wealth, more children, more flocks, more servants than he ever had before. Well, I said in the Bible, Freeman. Of course, the Bhagavad Gita and the Lotus Sutras are very old. Although there's one, and I forget which one it is, one book of Hindu mythology that seems to have been composed around the year 1900. Baba Ganoush, I thought that was a food. I thought Baba Ganoush was made with chickpeas. Okay, it is a food. Thank you, Don. Yeah, that's pretty much it at Sequentia. You can complain about the quality of service, but you can't really switch from Verizon to other carriers. Oh, Baba Ganoush is like hummus, but made with eggplants. Okay, I like eggplant, but I just slice it up and fry it in lots of oil. And near the end, I add butter. I don't want the butter to burn, but I want that flavor. Oh, it's good for Don to have some fun. Yeah, eggplant parmesan. I usually cheat and use jack cheese or mozzarella. Parmesan has a bitter aftertaste that in some dishes, like spaghetti and white sauce, I like Parmesan. Oh, I'd love to try Starlink, but do you have any idea how expensive it is? Mm, it's just way beyond my means. But Starlink never goes down. Oh, I don't happen to have any eggplant at the moment, and getting a ride to the grocery store is not easy since our local grocery store was demolished in Snowmageddon. They have opened up a small market next to the post office, but they are not fully stocked. They just have a few necessities, some staples, and milk and eggs and juice. Oh, now I got hiccups. Anyway, it's just really amazing how difficult life can be, and yet from time to time you'll meet someone else who has it worse, and you thank God you're at least not that bad off, and you try to help. Oh, hi, Oswald. Wasp bite swelling. Well, there's a remedy, huh? I'm trying to think of the name of that stuff. Let me see. I even have some somewhere. Not chamomile. Camphor? Well, you can wash with soap and water. You can try a cold pack. But what is the. Yeah, you can try peroxide. Dab on some hydrogen peroxide, the household strength. Do not try alcohol. Well, it can help, rubbing alcohol. But what is that? It has camphor in it, but what's it called? Camphor is what they call a counter. Well, yeah, you could camphophenique. That's it. CM camphophenique. It's kind of like Vicks Vapor Rub, but it's oily, liquid. Vicks Vapor Rub might help, but it doesn't have camphor. It has eucalyptus and menthol, but you're more likely to have it on hand. I wouldn't. They recommend rubbing alcohol, but I wouldn't try it unless everything else didn't work, like peroxide and little Vicks Vapor Rub or camphophenique, and of course washing. Try to wash out the bug venom. I had a spider bite on my foot, of all places. So I soaked my foot in warm water with a few drops of iodine, that betadine, which it doesn't have alcohol in it. But my toenails were turning black from the iodine. So then after 2 days of that, I switched to warm water with vinegar, and it did seem to help. But I don't know the location of your bug bite, so it might not be practical to soak it. Oh, it's on your shin. It'd be difficult to soak that. Uh, the vinegar, I'm thinking of jellyfish. On California beaches, sometimes the red jellyfish come in to die on the shore. Horrid creatures. If you get stung by one of them, they used to put a mixture of water and ammonia on it. Now they're more likely to mix water with vinegar and put that on it, because the jellyfish stings itch like crazy. Uh, Anyway, I did have a doctor look at it because the swelling went from my foot to my leg, my lower leg, and I was concerned. And he prescribed antibiotics and said take them only if it gets worse, and it didn't get worse. Ooh, arachnophobia. That's a great movie. And there was an old movie about giant spiders. It starred Leo G. Carroll, who played Topper in the TV series. Giant spiders. What was that called? It might have been called Tarantula. Well, if you survived a man o' war, you're very lucky, Freeman. They can be deadly. The Portuguese man o' war jellyfish. It isn't actually one creature, if I remember correctly. It's a colony of a variety of creatures. I think all the jellyfish are. Okay, let's see. Oh, it looks like our Google has all kinds of stuff. Jellyfish are single organisms that are free swimming, but siphonophores are a colony of single celled organisms, and they look just like jellyfish. The Portuguese man o' war, also known as, come on, the man of war, is a marine hydrozoan, a water animal, huh? Found in the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean. So I guess it is not. Yeah, it's a siphonophore. So it is a colony. But they all look like jellyfish. Here we go. The Portuguese man o' war is often called a jellyfish, but is actually a species of siphonophore, a group of animals that are closely related to jellyfish. Okay. And siphonophores are colonies of various critters. That's more than I wanted to know. Oh, Don wants to talk about the Big Lebowski. But Etsy Quintia wants to talk about Attack of the Giant Tomatoes. And Don says Samuel L. Jackson agreed to star in Snakes on a Plane when he heard the title of the movie. Okay. Did I talk about I mentioned Netflix and Three Stigmata. A copyright claim turned up, and it turns out they've authored the book, maybe for a series, maybe for a movie. We'll see. I also mentioned that there's a stage play of Minority Report that should be opening next February. I don't really know a lot about what they plan to do with Three Stigmata. Oh, Freeman says in Mexico's Sea of Cortez, they have a season called Aquamale when all of the man-o-wars come in and invade. And the Mexicans killed off all the sea turtles that would eat them. You have a tuxedo cat, Dawn? Yeah, I have a tuxedo cat, but I'm not allowed to touch her or even get too close to her. She's feral. Well, Three Stigmata depends on what they want to do with it. I mean, Blade Runner is nothing like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Minority Report is totally different from Phil's story, and Total Recall is not We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. They're completely different from the written works. In some cases, I suspect that the filmmakers just wanted to toss Phil some money. And in other cases, I think they just thought one aspect of the story that Phil wrote could inspire a lawsuit if they didn't pay for an option. In the case of Blade Runner, Ridley Scott had to buy up two different novels by different authors that were titled Blade Runner. Even though you cannot copyright a title, they wanted those books suppressed so they would not compete with a novelization of the movie. One of the novels of Blade Runner was by someone famous, and I keep forgetting his name. Uh, all I get. All I get is the Philip K. Dick and the movie. The, Alan E. Norse. But there was another one. Before Norse. I don't know. I cannot remember. Blade Runner 2049 is not at all based on Phil's novel, so I don't think they paid anything. You can trademark a title. That's if you have more than one product, or you plan to have more than one product with that name. But the authors who wrote the novels titled Blade Runner did not trademark it. I don't know. Let's see. Nowadays, Blade Runner is kind of person who has artificial legs. What the heck? I cannot remember the original author's name, and he was someone very famous, and it was not science fiction. I can't sue anyone, Freeman. I do not have any rights. I did, for a time, get some royalty through Phil's agent, but getting them was like pulling teeth. For a time, after Phil's death, the attorneys for the estate actually refused to pay child support for my son. Well, anyway, Burroughs, William S. Burroughs, wrote a novel titled Blade Runner. Oh, what he wrote, pardon me, what he wrote was the treatment for a screenplay of Norse's Blade Runner. I'm going to save this here on my hard drive for the next time that I forget. Yeah, Burroughs hung out with Jack Kerouac, and he wrote some dirty books, too. Got him in trouble sometimes. Let's see, Quintia. You know, actors hate it when they end up on the cutting room floor because they don't get any royalties in the future. I'm trying to remember what Kerouac wrote. Was it Life with Charlie or was that someone else? Well, thanks for stopping by, Oswald. Come on, mouse. Click the button. On the Road. I think Life with Charlie was the guy who wrote Grapes of Wrath. John Steinbeck, yeah. Charlie was a poodle, I think. Thank you, Don. I don't know. I liked the movie of Grapes of Wrath a lot better than the book. Oh, the neighbor's cat is here eating what my cats didn't want because it wasn't good enough. This cat's still a kitten, but probably a lot older than my kittens. Oh, yeah, Henry Fonda. My water glass is empty, so hang on while I fill it. Cannery Row. Might have been Steinbeck. I don't remember for sure. Yes, Steinbeck. Thank you, Don. Hi there, silly cat. I hope it's a male, because if it's a female, it will make more kittens. Apparently, they don't feed their cats enough. I don't think I've ever watched Miami Vice either, Don. Oh, Edward James Olmos was in it, huh? He his role in Blade Runner was really something awesome. I think oh come on. Harrison Ford is not so much an actor as someone who just has the right personality and habits and way of speaking and moving that works for the movies he's in. But I did not like him in The Fugitive. I think the real star of that movie was God, what the heck's his name? Uh oh, come on, I've gone blank on one of my favorite actors' names. Tommy Lee Jones was the real star of The Fugitive. Harrison Ford's role, I can't fault him for what they wrote for him, but it was just run, run, grin, run, run, grin, run, run, grin. Tommy Lee Jones played a serial killer based on a true story, and I don't remember the title of the movie. But he was also in that god awful 16-hour long movie about moving their cattle from Texas to some other state. Uh, it was really popular too. I couldn't watch it. Lonesome Dove. Yeah, Harrison Ford is kind of flat. Well, I think Harrison Ford is good in the roles they give him, except The Fugitive. He wasn't right for that. He should have been more sympathetic, and he wasn't. I just didn't feel sorry for him. I felt sorry for the Tommy Lee Jones character who was chasing him. The TV series. I don't remember the actor's name, but he was sympathetic. You cared about what happened to him. Mm, okay. Series. David Jansen. I've heard stories about how he slept around because he was so popular. Women wanted to be with him. But you must not confuse the actor with the character. Um, you know, in real life, you don't get to memorize a script. Yeah. Actors have a tough time when they want to eat out or go to the grocery store. Everybody wants to pester them and get their autograph and stuff. And it really can just wear you down. Freeman's telling me about a friend of his who pestered Harrison Ford and he had to apologize for his friend's behavior. The guy was just trying to get lunch at a sidewalk cafe. I once saw, what's his name? Fantasy Island star at a deli in Hollywood. I didn't even get up out of my chair. I didn't say anything to him because I didn't want to pester him. No, not Orson Welles. Um, oh, he played Khan in The Wrath of Khan. Uh, Come on. Yeah. Um, Humphrey isn't giving me the cast. Here we go. Ricardo Montalban. I've heard stories that he was not a nice person and not a good husband. Yeah, the midget was Hervé Villachez. Hervé, I guess. The H is silent in Spanish. And Mr. O'Rourke was Ricardo Montalban. I just looked it up. That's how I have their names. That was a really interesting show. But no, Hervé Villachez did not play Khan in The Wrath of Khan. It was Ricardo Montalban. Oh boy, what a day. At least it isn't quite as cold as it has been. We've had winter cold in June, July, August, and September. And the price of gas and electricity to heat the house is outrageous. Oh, wow. I can't stand it. You misspelled Chianti. At Sequentia. Oh, Anthony Hopkins. I was thinking of Anthony Perkins. Whoops. Uh, inside joke, I guess. Oh, wow. Well, I don't know. Fish and bread sounds like a good breakfast to me. I'm just wondering whether those inland seas in the Middle East are salt water or fresh. Yeah, I remember SCTV, Second City Television. They made a really funny version of Fantasy Island, Freeman says. The plane crashes and O'Rourke says that was their fantasy. Okay. I forget which city is Second City. It might be Detroit. But it was not out of Hollywood, and it was not out of New York. It was kind of a takeoff on Saturday Night Live, but actually a better show. Yeah, I get it now at Sequentia. Jodie Foster is still working, starring in the 4th season of True Detective. Okay. Hi, Witta. Witta says they played it out of Canada. There's salty water? Oh, good, because I don't like freshwater fish. Toronto, Freeman says. Reminds me, I have some frozen fish to cook. I like to bake fish. Although, if I'm out and about, I'll get the deep fried fish. I don't like to have hot oil in my kitchen. It can start a fire if you are not careful. Although sometimes I do a sort of fake deep fry. I get about 2 inches of oil in the bottom of a large soup pot, and I'll brown both sides of a breaded fish, but then I put it in the oven. Mmm, saltwater taffy. Saltwater taffy's a good candy, Don. Yeah, I guess if a bus driver is tired and his route is boring, he could fall asleep. Hit a stop sign, huh? Well, that probably stopped the bus. Hmm. Oh, that Sequentia thinks. Oh, oy, it's French. Baudrillard. Baudrillard was at least influenced by Phil's ideas. Oh, wow. Well, I don't know. Phil used to say there's only one cat. All the others are Xerox copies. And of course, he was referring to Plato's um, ideals, that everything in this world is a reflection of the ideal, whatever it is. So all men are reflections of the ideal man, all women are reflections of the ideal woman, and every object around you is like a shadow on the wall of the cave, while the real things are outside in the sunlight, and you can't see them, you can't turn in that direction. Yeah, telex. Telex early on was used to send photographs of criminal suspects to remote locations. It was probably the inspiration for Xerox copies. Oh, Baudrillard inspired the Matrix movies. The creators also said they were inspired by Philip K. Dick. Yeah, well, the way they did it, they did not have to pay Phil any royalties or his estate. Yeah, Keanu Reeves is a great actor. I'm trying to remember, was he? I think he was in Next. Don Burnham is timing himself out. Oh no, that was Nicolas Cage. Keanu Reeves was um, I always forget his name. His character's name. Oh, yeah, he was in the Matrix, but uh, Neo, yeah, as in new. I was always focused on Agent Smith because there were millions of him. They were all copies of the ideal Agent Smith. Hi, Cave, which I believe is oh, what's his name with the toy cars? My brain ain't working. Well, there were all kinds of movies that ripped off authors. For example, um, the father thing should have been optioned for, was it Invasion of the Body Snatchers? I think that's what it was. But Hollywood found a way to cheat Phil out of that. Well, it also ripped off another author, but I'm kind of vague on the details. I couldn't, I still don't really understand why the film of A Scanner Darkly puts people off because they don't like the rotoscope animation. They had a very low budget, so they could not afford to do a lot of live action. Cave is um, can't remember names, but I believe he's my friend with the daughter who changed his screen name. Yeah, A Scanner Darkly really stayed faithful to the story. Yeah, John W. Campbell, The Thing was his story. Who goes there? I think he got paid for that. But you see, these Hollywood production companies have lawyers, and they get away with highway robbery. Oh, well, anyway, I've been on for an hour and 45, and I'm just winding down and not saying much. Yeah, however, as far as being really faithful, I still think I like Radio Free Albemuth as the best movie of a Philip K. Dick work. It's also very low budget, but the changes they did make were necessary to make the film work. And A Scanner Darkly really left out a lot of the story, which uh, it troubles me. Yeah, Radio Free Albemuth was the original Valis novel. Valis and Divine Invasions were written later. Oh, Don doesn't want me to leave. I read more scriptures. Oh, Terry Gilliam. He really ought to do a Philip K. Dick movie. Hi, Angus. You might have to pay a few bucks to see Radio Free Albemuth, but it's totally worth it. Okay, scripture. I don't know. Revelation Lake of Fire, ESV. Okay, already looked at Revelation chapter 20. Let's look at chapter 21. Then I saw a new heaven and new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. So that's why I say you don't go to live in heaven forever and ever. You go to the new earth. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people. And God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away." And he who was seated on the throne said, "Behold, I am making all things new." Also he said, "Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true." And he said to me, "It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give from the spring of the water of life without payment. The one who conquers will have this heritage, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. This is written by John, the beloved disciple. It doesn't sound very loving, but oh well. And it goes on and on to describe the city and the temple and so forth. I still say, aside from the false prophet, the devil, and the beast, you don't burn forever, you're just gone. Well, the Gospel of Thomas isn't really a gospel, it's a collection of sayings, things that Jesus said. And by the way, the original manuscript says, "He kissed Mary Magdalene on the blank." The word is gone. That part of the manuscript got torn or eaten away with time and so forth. Degradation. Well, I don't blame and shame audiences for failed movies, but yeah, the producers tend to do that. I hear that Disney is canceling um, Snow White. I really don't have a problem with the actress being Hispanic and not having white skin. I don't care about that. But if you're going to tell a completely different story, you shouldn't call it Snow White. But apparently, the cancellation is that the studio has problems with the actress over her public statements. And yeah, they're blockbusters. I'm blank on the titles right now. But when Angel Studios released Sound of Freedom, it just killed all the other films at the box office. Yeah, Jesus kissed Mary Magdalene. Well, if you actually read the Bible, he was always kissing his disciples. Maybe on the forehead, maybe on the foot, maybe on the mouth. We don't know. But if Jesus were married to the woman, would his disciples actually ask, "Why do you like her more than us? Isn't it obvious? She's my wife." Idiot. Of course I like her more. I have to. So I don't think they were married. I already watched Nerdrotic, Freeman, on YouTube. Nerdrotic is really great at analyzing movies and why they succeeded or failed. Yeah, well, the Muslim version of Jesus has him as a man, not God, not special, just a great prophet. People tend to think that because um, these patriarchs in the Bible had more than one wife, it's okay to do that. But it doesn't say that it's okay. It causes those men lots of trouble. God made one woman and one man to be together. And yeah, some of the patriarchs had lots of wives, but it was not a good thing. It's just that's what happened. Yeah, I'm not becoming a Mormon. My ancestors escaped from Utah, and you had to escape. The Mormon police would chase you, hunt you down, and drag you back and beat the crap out of you. One of my ancestors was beaten, brutally beaten, because he refused to take a second wife. One of the wealthy Mormons wanted to marry off his daughters because they cost him money. However, They escaped to Idaho. Idaho is almost as Mormon as Utah. And they have two kinds of Mormons in Idaho. The Joseph Smith Mormons and the what's his name Mormons. The guy who took over after Joseph Smith was killed. Ah, let me see if. Yeah. Okay, it's giving me Joseph Smith. Who's the guy who took over? Brigham Young. And my ancestors believed that Brigham Young deliberately had Joseph Smith killed. Yeah, there was lots of hardship. Oh, Dawn, I am not here to convert you, but you need to have faith in God, even especially when you're suffering. Thank you, Freeman. Yeah, Google finally told me Brigham Young. I don't know. Almost at the 2-hour mark. But my ancestors passed down the story about how Brigham Young confiscated all of the copies of the Book of Mormon and distributed a new revised version. And that was the work of Brigham Young. Yeah, well, we're human. We often have doubts. And the advice I was given was to pray to God to enlighten me, to tell me the truth. Oh, wow. Yeah, you're not supposed to call them Mormons now. They're Latter-day Saints. Well, God doesn't necessarily come down from the clouds and whisper in your ear, but he might send you a sign if you're paying attention. Angus says LDS is too close to LSD. Well, maybe the alcohol is interfering, Don. I occasionally like to alter my mind, but I do it by meditation. And here and there, I'll add a little bit of peach schnapps to my orange juice, but I don't get drunk on it. I just like the flavor of peach combined with orange. Nobody has an old edition of the Book of Mormon that I know of. And if they did, might inspire a death squad. Was Jim Morrison he wasn't a Mormon, was he? Jim Morrison was a screwed up man. Had all that talent and threw it away. Well, today's Mormons are not quite what they used to be, but just the same. When they come to the door to convert me, I tell them I'm already in the book of life, but I'm a Baptist. They actually have people get baptized in your name if they find you in a genealogy, a family tree where one of your ancestors was Mormon. They don't ask permission, they just do it. Oh, Freeman, if you published that first edition, they would send the death squad and burn all the books. But the people I really feel sorry for are the Jehovah's Witnesses. They work their tails off and they have to give everything to the church. They can't celebrate anything. Birthdays, weddings, wedding anniversaries, Christmas, Easter, Halloween. It's all of the devil. And besides, if they spent money on a celebration, they wouldn't be giving their money to the church. Oh, Scientology. Well, yeah, it's weird. Most of the doctrine of Scientology was stolen from the Mormon church. Xerox copied. L. Ron Hubbard just studied the Mormon church and started his Scientology to make money. One of his offices is up here on this mountain waiting for his return. Don Burnham says the movie The Master is pretty much about Scientology. Okay. Oh, Tora hasn't made her appearance. Let's put Tora on camera. Sunlight behind her is turning her into a silhouette. Hi, Tora, Tora. I thought that Patches would make a guest appearance, but she took off to go outside and play. Well, you're going to have to put up with the ceiling fan at the top of the picture. Let's see if I can get it a little lower. There, here. Is that how you spell Joaquin? Quaylen? Phoenix? Must be Joaquin Phoenix. Oh, Tora already got all kinds of treats before I got online. She doesn't wait for me to go on YouTube. Oh, if Patches was crying outside, that's tough. The door's wide open. She was probably crying for treats. She's a treat hog. Yeah, Hubbard stole JPL, Jack Parsons' wife or girlfriend, and took his money and bought a boat. Yeah, well, Jack Parsons did win a lawsuit against Hubbard, but he didn't really recover what he'd lost. And he had to go to Florida. Because, Jack Parsons was in the Los Angeles area, and Hubbard took off to Florida. Oh, well, there she is. Come here, you. Say hello. This here is Patches making a guest appearance and demanding treats. Well, hop down then. I don't know where the treats are. Oh, there. Here's some. Ooh, she loves her treats. Come on. You gotta hop down. You're not gonna eat them off my lap because you bite me. There, here you go, Tora. Tora's being a lady and waiting patiently. Ah, cats. Cats and kitties and kitties and cats. Okay, the master apparently is a criticism of Scientology. Okay. Well, Don says his cat doesn't eat wet food. You better make sure that there's plenty of fresh drinking water available. Then, even if they do eat canned food, cats need access to fresh water. And I recently learned that you don't put the water dish right next to the food dish. Cats are finicky about contamination. They want fresh, clean water. So I change their water every day. These rotten cats have eaten all the canned food and half the kibble. Fortunately, more cat food is being delivered today. Well, I like dogs. I want a dog, but I can't afford to keep one right now. The neighbors have dogs. Patches, I gave you treats. Don't push your luck, kid. Meow. Yeah, it takes a lot of energy to deal with a dog, but if you train them up right, like my bandit, as we were both getting older, he was really easy to deal with. He was a gentleman. Well, I was happy with just Tora and Sweetie, my pet cat and my feral cat, and these 3 kittens. So I'm trying to make them. Fortunately, a local charity got these 3 kittens spayed for free, so they won't make more kittens. Yeah. Looking for cat treats. Yes, you guys are pets. Okay, Tora, you're being a good girl, a lady cat. I got bumblebee tuna recently, and I have tried twice to contact them on their website. Catnip mouse in the box. Nothing wrong with the tuna fish, but it's impossible to open the can. The can opener that goes around the outside to cut the glue has no effect. The can opener that goes down inside the rim and cuts the lid leaves 2 or 3 gaps an inch long. So I have to take a knife. Where is it? Here. This one that my son gave me, a really good knife, sturdy, and hold it over the can and hit it with a rubber hammer to open up the gaps, which is kind of dangerous. Can't get the cans open. And meanwhile, Tora is waiting patiently for her tuna fish because once in a while she gets people tuna as a treat. Turns out this particular batch was made in Vietnam. Apparently, they don't care if you can't open the can. And my cat, by the way, gets Temptations and Party Mix. Ah, yes, Freeman, the Sylvester cartoon where the mouse has the can opener and the cat's left to beat the cans with an axe. Well, there is a very old-fashioned type of can opener with a blade, and you just kind of lever it. You stick the blade in and work your way around. I'll have to get one. Pull ring the cans, except sometimes it won't open. And if the ring stays good, I can use pliers to pull it up if the lid is stuck and won't come off. But sometimes the ring pops off and then I have to pry the lid off with various levers. Oh, yeah. So anyway, when I get to the bottom, everything's filled out, the UPC and the other code and all my info, and I click submit. It just sits and sits and sits and eventually says it failed. Try again later. Well, after 2 tries, I'm not going to try a third time. I'll just find one of those sites where you review products and post it there. Especially the part about how I can't eat bills. Cats are good kitties. But man, these guys are pests. The 3 kittens insisted on running outside last night, right before I went to bed. So around 1 o'clock in the morning, there's all this meowing and scratching at the door. It woke me up. So I got up and let them in. And Patches, Tora went outside to play. She isn't fiendishly. Okay. Well, I'm about done, but I don't want to stop the conversation in chat prematurely. Okay, I'm so glad you.